Hello, and welcome to Dick Moby, episode 10. Woo, double figures! This is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. I'm so proud of my achievements so far. 9 hours of reading Moby Dick backwards, word for word, unreading it, I should say. So far, what's happened so far? A whale appeared. It constructed a ship. It animated a crew for the ship out of odd body parts that it dredged up from the deeps. And then it sent the crew on their way. And so far, the crew have spent most of their time debating their insurance policy and whether the activities of this whaling trip will invalidate that policy. And there was something about the captain's leg. They've got a carpenter on board and he's trying to fix it. Ahab's leg. Captain Ahab is the boss. Other characters involved are Queequeg, Stub, and Flask. There you go, Flask. That's sensible. Excuse me a second. I'm going to turn the microphone down because it's booming tonight. I'm just so excited. Yeah, Flask is a good name, isn't it, for a nautical sailor type. Who else is on there? An unnamed carpenter. I think that's the cast of characters. And a whale who we'll never experience again, as far as I'm aware. I think we're well on the way to Nantucket now. We're sailing back to Nantucket. We're on chapter 106, I guess. We just finished reading 107 last time. We've got the big board. The sperm count is now on the big board as opposed to the little one. I've transferred the sperm to the big board. The 12 sperm that we'd found so far. The whole purpose of this journey is to find 271 sperms, and so far we found 12, and there they are. I'll put them on the big board. Now the big board isn't significantly bigger than the small board. I mean, it's big compared. It is bigger, but it's not big enough for 271 sperms. What I propose we do is at some point later in the future, when we've got more than 12. I mean, it'd look a bit pathetic with only 12, but once we get, say, 30 sperms, I'm going to start using like a tally system where for every 5 sperms, I'm going to draw like a mega boss sperm that represents 5 sperms, and then we should be able to fit all 271 on the board. If that doesn't work, we'll have to combine them further into one kind of Leviathan behemoth sperm, the kind of sperm that would plop out like a water bomb if you were to release it, which you must never do. I have my favourite flavour of wine, red wine. It's Friday night, why not? It's not like it's a work night. The reason I haven't stuck the big board up with the sperm on is actually work related, because I do have a day job. Believe it or not, this isn't my job. I do spend a considerable time preparing for this. I don't prepare any material for this. I prepare mentally for this. It takes a lot of mental gymnastics, a lot of emotional strength that I bring to this process. But I do have a day job, and at the moment in lockdown, I have to do that day job from home, obviously. And the problem with that is that I have to have video conference calls, and I use exactly this webcam to do that, and I'm not 100% confident with my boss seeing the sperm count on the board behind me. He may take it to mean something it doesn't. I assume that he would take it as a good idea and make a board of his own and include a sperm count in the background of his video conferencing, and encourage that to be rolled out across the entire organisation. As it stands, I don't have an organisation. I just do this. This is my Friday night. So without further ado, let's crack on. We've got plenty to go. 106 chapters left. If we really rattle on tonight, we might be able to get into double figures. Then it's a long way to go to get to single figures after that. So let's make a start. Needed be might contrivances, iron whatever of forging the two once at proceed to commanded was blacksmith the. Affair the accelerate to and hold the in idleness temporary it's of out hoisted be to ordered was forged ships the moreover. Use in one distrusted the to pertaining those of independent. It for fittings the all provide to and night that completed leg the have to orders received carpenter the done this. Secured be might stuff clearest grained, stoutest the of selection careful that order in voyage the on accumulated been far thus had which whale sperm. Yay, there's a sperm. I'm going to do the sperms at the end of the paragraph rather than, you know, I'll blast through them as I see them from this point on. Just so you know, I'm not missing a sperm. I did miss a sperm in a previous episode and we had to catch up later. But no sperm will go awry in this. They will none be wasted. Don't worry. Whale sperm. Jaw ivory of joists and studs the all with supplied him see to mates the directed and leg new a making about set delay without him bade he him before appeared functionary that when and what I'm going to do with the sperms, if I can find the rag. I had a rag. It's up there. Hang on a second. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rub the sperms off this, and then every time we get a new sperm during an episode, what I'll do is I'll draw them on here, and then at the end I'll transfer them onto the big board. Okay, so let's rub these sperms off here. Bye sperms. Bye bye. Cheerio. It's a shame to see them go because some of these have been with us from the very beginning. Which is, you know. So there we go. I missed one. There we go. I think we can all. Oh dear. Oh dear. What has happened there? You saw that coming, didn't you? You saw it coming a mile away. It's almost like I prepared this. There. Back to normal. We just found one. So here we go. Here we go. Here's how to draw a sperm. We've been through this before. We'll do it again. Draw a circle. Circle for the main part of the body. You need an eye so the sperm can see. You need. I looked this up. Sperms do have a part of their body there, but I don't know what it is. It's the engine of the sperm, and then the tail, which is like a wiggly, what it swims with. Can make great progress. Sperms can swim at up to 1 centimetre a day. An hour. 1 kilometre an hour. I can't remember. I thought I had it. My sperms can't. My sperms come out and they sort of dribble down my leg. Where was I? Carpenter the called he, procedures practical plain took he. Leg his of matter present this in, yet Ahab earthly with not or do to have, fire of potentates and princes vindicative the ore. Ere the in synod ambiguous, unseen the let, may it excuse me, may it as this all be but. See, I think some of this language that Herman comes up with, unseen, synod ambiguous, princes vindictive, and all this. I think the ends of the chapters are much more well written. Not well written. I'm not going to give him credit. Let's say they're at least grandiloquent. I think he needs a run up at it. So I think some of the chapters are being quite short. It doesn't play to his strengths. He needs to build up to that more so that he can really hit his stride, get into his stroke. And then by the end of the episode, by the end of the chapter, he doesn't write in episodes, does he? I read it in episodes. We might be treated to this kind of phraseology throughout the entire thing. As it stands, the first half of the chapter tends to be monosyllabic at best. Well, actually, I'd say at best, and also at worst. You can't have less than monosyllabic, can you? I wish you could. I wish he'd written 0 syllables, but alas, he's written a further 105.5 chapters of syllables, one at a time in most places. So let's continue. Dex Pequod's the upon transpire it did, elapsed had interval considerable, until not that was it hence and others from thing this of knowledge the up muffle to lay them in as far so conspired all had they him for zeal therethrough that so whales of and spirits of land the from underived entirely not terrors with itself invested Ahab by for unaccounted moodily did it as remaining casualty hinted above the circle timid that too him to approach band less out of privilege the possessed reason any for who a sure circle dropping ever contracting that to but this only not and recluseness temporary his of bottom the at mishap direful that oh dear he's had a direful bottom mishap least at did matter one this out came all it out came all it from his direful bottom end the in but oh dear light explanatory of than darkness significant of more partook revelation every part deeper Ahab's all touching as indeed though adequate means no by appeared thing this for reason bruited bruited is that what does that mean reason bruited Peleg's captain dead that of senate marble thee among were it as refuge speechless sort. I don't know why I stopped to try and work out what words like bruited means. We've established that Herman just makes them up as he goes. Herman's a kind of writer that if there's no word for what he's trying to express, he has no compunctions in inventing one that fits the bill. Some of them sound quite feasible. Some of them you get to them, you're not sure yourself. But I'm fairly certain bruited. That's not a word, is it? You look it up. There's a little job for you for next time. Look up what bruited means and, I don't know, keep it to yourself. Marble thee among. Were it as refuge speechless sort, interval one that for, and exclusiveness grand llama-like, such with away himself hidden had he. Pequod the of sailing the after and before both, period certain afore that, was it why, some to mystery are remained it had always, Ahab concerning particulars other many with, before disclosed been have, way set in properly more might perhaps which, divulged been has secret are here unwittingly. Signers the in sorrow of stamp the but is, man of brow the in birthmark sad, ineffaceable the. Glad ever for not are themselves gods the that, this to in give needs must we, harvest moons round, symboling soft and, sun's haymaking, glad the all of face the in, that so, gods the of primogenitures, sourceless, the among last at us carries, miseries mortal high these of genealogies the trail to, deduction obvious the belie not, tracings out diligent there do so, grandeur archangelican. All right, Herman, wind it in. I know I was saying you write a bit monosyllabically sometimes, but this you've gone too far. Primogenitures and grandeur and archangelic. It's nonsense. Men some in and significance mystic are heart woes all bottom at but them in lurking pettiness unsignifying certain have ever felicities earthly highest that even while Ahab thought for. Thing the of analysis deeper the in inequality and seems still there. This of hint to all at not grave the beyond griefs of progeny progressive eternally and themselves to beget fertilely Still shall misery's mortal guilty sum, whereas despair hells all of joy childlessness, the by followed be shall, contrary the on, but world other the for them to born children no have shall hear enjoyment's natural sum that while that. Teachings canonic certain from inference and is it that? You see, that's the sort of monosyllabic unreadable nonsense that I have to put up with. And is it that? It's so confusing. This of hint to not for joy of posterity and ancestry, the than further go grief of posterity and what? Posterity. Ah, another glitch in the matrix. Joy of posterity and ancestry, the than further go grief of posterity and ancestry, the further go grief of posterity and ancestry, the than further go grief of posterity and ancestry, I'll stop now. The both since Ahab thought equally than more, yea. Like there beget naturally do events miserable all, felicity, who's she? Every with equally. So grove the of songster sweet, the as inevitably as kind his perpetrates marsh, the of reptile poisonous most the as that. See to seemed plainly too, he and woe former out of issue direct, the but was suffering present, then that of anguish the all that. Mind monomaniac his enter to failed it had, time the at nor. Cured entirely was wound agonizing the that difficulty extreme, without it was nor. Groin his pierced, but all and, smitten stake-wise had it that, displaced violently so, been having limb ivory his, casualty unimaginable, inexplicable seemingly, and unknown some by, insensible and, ground thee upon prone lying night one found been had he that, nan took it from sailing Pequods, the to prior long very been, not had it for. Stood partly he which upon bone dead that of condition the to he careful give times at did Ahab, recklessness mad, pervading his all for that, wonder for matter small seemed it, indeed, and trustworthy entirely it deem not did Ahab yet, lusty appearances all to and, entire remains still it though that, wrench and twist additional, and such received ivory shaken already then, enough inflexibly steering not about something, ever as, was it? Steersman the to command urgent, and with round wheeled vehemently so he. There pivot hole own his and, deck own his gaining after when and, shock half splintering, a received had leg ivory his that boat his of thwart at upon energy such with lighted had he. Person own his to violence, small sum with unattended been not had, London of Enderby Samuel, the quitted had Ahab captain, which in manner precipitating the Leg Ahab's 106 chapter. Wow, I have no idea what that was about. Maybe it was because I kept interjecting and I need to just crack on and read it. It's hard to keep track of and talk about and try to understand it all at once. Not that I suggest you should try this at home. Well, you can only really try anything at home at the moment. I mean, don't try anything anywhere else. Don't go out on Westminster Bridge and try and read this backwards. Don't hundreds of you go out on Westminster Bridge armed with copies of Moby Dick and attempt to read them all backwards while all having sex with each other and spitting in each other's mouths. Don't do that. Skies that to defiance frothed his spout. Flood equatorial thee of crest topmost thee upon rearing and survive still will wail eternal the then rats its off kill to Netherlands the like flooded again be to his world the ever if and Ark Noah's despised he flood Noah's inn Kremlin the and Castle Windsor and Tuileries the of sight the over swam once he water broke continents the before seas the swam he. Individuality his imperishable, however, species his in immortal whale, the account we, things these all for, wherefore. Globe the of population human present the to host countless this, adding and, ago years 75 alive, were who children and women, men, the all of bodies live, the unyielding creation of vaults, family, and cemeteries, graveyards, the all imagining by. Of idea some gain soon may we, is that what and contemporary be must generations adult distinct several, time of period one any at therefore, more and century at of age the attaining probably there. Whales of longevity great presumed the from that, consider to are we. Moreover, combined see the of isles the all and, Holland new, Africa and Europe, Americas both, Asia, all as large as twice precisely as which. In expatiate to pasture has he since, hunting all outlast whale, great the may more much. Numbers great in there survive still they if, east of monarchs successive the all by and, Hannibal by, Porus by, Semiramis by, reference I don't know, years of thousands for hunted been now, have which elephants these, if that doubt to reason no seems there and climes temperate that in cattle of droves as numerous are elephants regions those in that elephants 4,000 took Siam of king the hunting one at that us tells he when goer of historian the Harto to say we shall what yet. Globe the of creatures enormous, more the of populousness, the concerning incredulous somewhat be to is it as natural. Matter this in argument opposing, and as account no or little of circumstance this, even render which considerations are there yet. Alone Americans the by coast west, nor the on slain annually been have, 13,000 than less not. Whales these of number are past. This sounds like an episode of Quincy, doesn't it? You know Quincy Emmy. Where the fuck is Quincy? Do 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 do. In the middle of every episode, he talks about the condition that has led to someone's untimely demise and quotes statistics of. Did you know 13,000 Americans alone every year are killed by elephants? Giant elephants are the same that took the king of Siam hunting. I don't think he's bringing all that to mind. I think what he does is he gets up in the morning, Quincy, and he has his breakfast. And over breakfast, he sits there with his copy of the... Well, it's Wikipedia now, isn't it? But copy of the... What did he used to have? I guess an encyclopedia, not a Wikipedia. He has an encyclopedia and he looks up, diabetes, whatever, gout, lupus, and he looks down and he finds out how many Americans have been affected by lupus, and then he goes into work, and no matter what happens, then he's committed, isn't he? Because he's read about lupus in the morning, and now he's whatever the cause of death. As a medical examiner, he's expected to be, accurate in his assessment of the cause of death. So he does his autopsy or whatever they call it, coroner's report, not a coronary artery, coronary infarction. That's something else. And then he blames lupus, regardless of what it is, even if it is a coronary infarction. He's like, no, it's lupus. Lupus, mate. Didn't you know that 38,000 Americans contract lupus every year? I don't even know what lupus is. Lupus is something that when you look about any symptom on Google, you wake up in the morning and you go, I've got a bit of jip there, bit of jip, or spinal injury like an android, and you look up what the cause of it is on Google and it says lupus every time. You've got lupus. I've had lupus every year since I was a teenager. And there's no treatment, and it's different every time. It's crazy. Where was I up to? I was going to have a drink of wine, wasn't I? I got into that talking and didn't actually have any. I'm going to have some now. There we go. Where the fuck is Quincy? Where was I up to? Battalions. I'd not read that word. It's difficult without any context. 13,000. I was definitely 13,000, wasn't it? Because that was the statistic that led me to on a ramble. 13,000, then less not. Whales these of number are past time some, for though but Battalions there diminished seriously very already, has havoc positive, this that concluded have forecastle the of philosophers some. Cachalot. What? Cachalot one for harpooned our whales, whalebone these of 50 perhaps as but. Cachalot. Cachalot? Is it French? Who knows? Man from pursuit all to defiance bid, December everlasting of circle charmed at in and, flows and fields icy among upcome, there walls and barriers glassy ultimate the under diving and, citadels polar there to resort last at can whales whalebone the, seas middle the of glades and savannas the from hunted so, mountains there to retreated have Swiss frosty the, valleys there of invasion the upon as and, impregnable remain ever for will, probability human all in, which fortresses firm too have they, leviathans mentioned last these concerning, furthermore. Spectacle unfamiliar the by startle recently very been has strand remoter and other some. Sure, be then, jets there with enlivened longer no is coast one if and, cape to promontory from driven being only are they for. Declining is also species that hence. Them with abounding years former in grounds many haunt longer no whales whalebone so called the because that. Conceit there seems fallacious equally and. All is that. Armies unfrequent, separated widely but vast into aggregated now are days other of schools and. Pods and yokes, solitaries scattered the degree large atu that so. Caravans immense in seas the swim now, safety to views some by influenced, whales those, noticed elsewhere been has as, because, remunerative more much also were and, prolonged so not were voyages the, consequence in and present at than oftener much encountered were pods small in leviathans these say century last the of part latter the years former in that example for whale sperm the of extinction gradual the of favour in argument any seem it does or a right considered nor don't worry I didn't miss it we got another one There he is. There he is. That one there. There's his little skirt. He's going to do a little crossed rubbing tails there, getting intimate. My two sperms. Well done, guys. Well done. 2 sperms in one night. That's pretty good going. Showing some stamina there. Stated statistically be could. Were need if that fact are buffaloes more and 1,040 but 40 not slain have wood ships in sailing of instead horse unmounted months of number same the 4 men moccasined of number same the virgin and wilderness was rise still sunset who's in west farther when west the of trappers and hunters Indian and Canadian old the of days the in whereas fish 40 of oil the home carry they last at if God thank and well extremely done have they think months 48 for whale sperm oh yeah I've got another one whale sperm the hunting ship one in men 40 leviathan do the to end and inglorious so forbids peremptorily whale hunt the of nature different farther yet. Man of spear there was extermination wondrous this of cause the though and region that all in remains them of hoof or horn one not day present the at though and London in now men of census the exceeded Illinois in Buffalo the of census the lifetime good are not ago period a short so though light every in matter this at look must you but. And another sperm. 3 sperms. He's been saving himself for us. 3 sperms. 3 sperms. Where was I up to? Oh yes, the buffalo moving into Chicago. Extinction's speedy escape now cannot whale hunted the that show to. Furnished seamward argument irresistible, and comparison as such in. Inch and dollar at land, you sells broker polite the now where. River capitals populous of sights, the upon brows thunder clotted. There with scowled and mains iron there shook and. Missouri and Illinois of prairies the thousands of tens by it's numerical problems, thousands of tens. The thousands of tens by overspread ago years 40 not, which buffalo of herds humped, the with whale the with whales of herds humped, so they're comparing. Just imagery there of thousands of tens of buffaloes and whales all humping gloriously in their shared habitat. Puff! Final the in evaporate himself then, and pipe last his smoke, man last the like, whale last the and, waters the from exterminated be last at not must he weather, havoc are remorseless so and. Chase a wide so, endure long can Leviathan weather, is point moot the. Coasts continental all along darted lances and harpoons thousand the and. World the of lockers and drawers, secret remotest the into and. Straits bearings through even penetrating now. Whale ships the of mastheads, the at lookouts omniscient almost, the to owing weather. Nantucket's recondite more, the by agitated often one. Remains inquiry another still but. Inquiry? Do you prefer inquiry or inquiry? It's an American novel. It is a great American novel. It's fucking terrible. It's not. Remains inquiry another still but. I'm going to go English. I don't know. I'm not actually sure if that's correct anyway. I don't know. Is inquiry English and inquiry... Maybe it's something else. Maybe an inquiry is... Maybe it's a medical term. I don't know. Ask Quincy. Did you know that 6,000 American men are subject to an inquiry once every 6 weeks? For no reason. On Trump's orders. Degenerated have should alone wail the animals, all of that admit, not will I. This, all of, incidentally, that's why I don't do all of this in an American accent, because that's the best American accent I can do. I've been practicing that all week. I hope you enjoyed it. Admit not will I, this all of face that in, kind fat pharaohs of fattest the magnitude in exceed far but, equal only not, Smithfield of cattle prize, stall fed, high bred, the that prove plainly as just, drawn are they which in proportions relative the by, tablets Nineveh and Egyptian, oldest the on sculptured animals other and cattle the while and. Socks his in Kentucky and modern as coffins there in much so measure not do. Born was Pliny, even before years of thousands buried were that mummies Egyptian the while that. Is it how understand cannot I because? So him tell to bold make will, was heathen more. Whaleman I is Pliny where go I ever if and. Time Pliny's in ancestors his as big as is... Oh, Jesus. What is... Time Pliny's in ancestors his as big as in today. That's not hyphenated. Today's a word. Just use today. Of whale the... No. Stories these believe whalemen any will but... 1825 AD. As late so published was work this and... Feet 28 and 100. I get the feeling he's going to start suffering from citation needitis in a minute. He's going to start quoting his references. As late so published was work this and feet 20. I don't know why I'm complaining. This is exactly what I expected to happen. I have read this forwards, as I've explained before. That's why I'm reading it backwards, to try and get it out of my mind, to try and exterminate the memory. I do remember the middle 100 chapters of this simply being a discussion of matters nautical, complete with references. It's terrible. What a terrible book. I've got books on this. I've got books on the shelf that have got references. I have a shelf, several shelves. Billy bookcases. That's one there behind me. That's a white one. I got two there that are brown, wood coloured. And there's a lot of books on there that have got references in them. Shall we see? Shall we see if I can find one with references? Give me a minute. That's a good one. That's a good one, isn't it? That's exciting. Quarks and Leptons, an introductory course in modern particle physics by Francis Housen and Alan D. Martin. Two people who did not expect to appear in this episode, although I'm sure they are fans if they are still alive. Now, does this have references? It has an index. It has a significant amount of references. Look, references. R.P. Feynman, The Theory of Fundamental Processes. R.P. Feynman, Quantum Electrodynamics. R.P. Feynman, The Feynman Lectures on Physics. R.P. Feynman, Photon-Hadron Interactions. R.P. Feynman, In Weak and Electromagnetic Interactions at High Energies. Honestly, you might as well just read Feynman's books in the first place. What's this about even? It's got maths in it. The Dirac equation. Particles. Antiparticles. Alright, one at a time. Colour factors. I'll give you a little excerpt from this. I'll pick a page at random and we'll see how this reads. Red of amount the uncharged red predominantly of sphere penetrates probe the quark red original that a closer probe test our moving by. Charges colour for 1.6 fig of experiment the repeat now we. 1.5b fig in shown as charges red other by surrounded preferentially is charge red a. Electrodynamics quantum of result familiar. Very familiar. There you go, there's the diagrams there, look. I don't know if you can see that. There's these are sperm here. There. Can you see that? Is that showing up on the stream? I hope so. There's the sperms. And here they've got overexcited. These are when they've gone into a higher energy state here. They get very, very tangled tails. They start to swim in spirals very, very quickly. And that is the DNA content of the sperm becoming visible at the macroscopic level. Quarks and leptons there. Where was I? AD, oh yes, 1825 AD, as late so published was work this and. Feet 28 and 103 meters 100, one at Whalewright. The down sets. 3 page. Work his of beginning very the in. Wales of history elaborate his in. Naturalist French the. La Cepede. La Cepede. And feet 60 and 103 is that. I hope you don't think I'm being racist with that French accent. I can speak French fluently in a very, very good French accent. Feet 60 and 103 is that. Yards 20 and 100 one at. Bellies wrinkled or Raydon Sisker. See, I told you. Raydon Sisker. That's French. Wales, Iceland, certain down setting sciences of academy that of member Danish find we. Naturalist Cooks, Solander and banks of days that in even and. Wales of tunnels Thames and walks rope. Length in feet 108 measured which others of Aldrovandus and bulk living of acres embraced that Wales of us tells Pliny for. Generally naturalists ancient the and Pliny as gentlemen such of accounts the credit to are we if so conclude must we assuredly. This is going to bog me down considerably if I have to start reading the names of naturalists I've never heard of, like Aldrovandus and La Cepede. It's gonna become silly. I'm hoping there's not too much of this. Degenerated have they time, Adams, since that? Be not it may. That's not the phrase. Be it as it... Be not it may. Periods geological previous, all of those upon magnitude in advance, and are our present, the of Wales the while that. Be not it may but. That's not the phrase either. Come on, Herman. Capture of time... The at long feet 100 a near captured been have whale's sperm, yes. That authority whaleman's on, heard have I and, whale modern size large out of skeleton, the 4 feet 72 gives tape measure the that. Seen already have we, whereas, skeleton that in length in feet 70 than less was that and, chapter last that in mentioned one Alabama, that is largest, the far by, exhumed yet whales pre-Adamite, the of all of. Alright, quick Feynman diagram to draw here. I think we'll do this one here. I did that wrong, didn't I? That was terrible. Terrible sperm. My goodness. That's some kind of mutated horror sperm. Right, here we go. This is a bit better now. There we go. Proper sperm coming on with an eye and a tail, and this one is going to be in a very high energy state. So we're going to... There we go. It's one of Feynman's sperms. There he is. Richard Feynman is one of the only scientists I know of who's got a plural middle name. One's earlier, it's of those size in exceed formations, latter it's to belonging those. System system tertiary that in found whales that of but man to prior period geological distinct at embracing. System tertiary that in found are remains fossil whose those to magnitude in superior day present the of whales present the of whales the are only not that. Find we investigation upon but. Sorry about that, I got that wrong. That would have changed the sense of that sentence entirely and confused you. Sire's his of bulk original, the from degenerated not has he. Generations his of course long the in, whether inquired fitly be may it. Eternities the of headwaters, the from us upon down floundering comes Leviathan this as, then inasmuch. Perish he will, diminish magnitude whales there does. 105 chapter. Excellent. Well, I hope we all learned something from that. Yeah, that was quite enjoyable. Quite enjoyable as chapters go. Herman Melville, he did go to sea. I mean, he was born and raised in New York City. He died in New York City. He married in New York City. You'd be forgiven for thinking that he was something of a landlubber, but he did go to sea. Although he did jump ship and go off on adventures of his own. So not the greatest seaman that the world's ever known, but we have to trust that he knows what he's talking about. I don't know how much of this was first-hand experience of Herman Melville or how much of it is invented, after returning to New York and marrying the lovely Lizzie. All we know for sure is that the book was not critically well received. And only later did people fall into the trap of reading it in its entirety. As did I. I've since lost my copy of this. That's why I'm reading it online. I mean, it's probably better to read it online because you can see the words scrolling down the screen as we go. But yeah, I don't know what I did in my copy. I threw it in the canal maybe in a fit of pique. Who knows? Who knows what I did? It deserved it, whatever I did. There worship silently will you, whaleman and Nantucket to be you, if and, reader, you Levi whale that of temple Afric this in. Temple the of base that at whale the by forth cast was Jonas prophet the that assert to stand not do some and temple this from came Mahomet Mahomet of prophesied, who prophet are that? Oh, Muhammad. Yes, of course. Of course, can't be trusted to spell anybody correctly. I guess historically maybe they just didn't know, or has it changed over time? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe some of my Muslim fans can clarify the whether that's acceptable or not. Who prophet are that? Affirm historians there. It saw I before years 100 a their lane have to said is. Leo John says, rib this, back camels upon man, by reached be cannot which of head the arch and makes uppermost part convex, it's with ground the upon lying which. Miracle for length incredible, and of rib whales keep they. Upon light they when whales the wound and see the into miles to shoot that rocks are there. Temple thee of side either on that is matter thee of truth the but. Death immediate without it pass can whale no. Temple thee upon God by bestowed power secret by that. Imagine people common the. Yes. Imagine people common the. I'm sure there's a pulp joke in there somewhere, but I can't remember the lyrics to Common People backwards. Maybe I'll feed it in at the end. I'll play the song backwards. If I won't. I can't afford the rights. Sure that upon dead upcast oftentimes are size monstrous out of whales four. Whale bones of made are which of beams and rafters there. Temple have they, seaside the from far not. I did think we needed a title song for this this production, this show. If anybody wants to write one and produce it, pay for studio time, I'm happy to play it, once and laugh at it. Maybe I'll record my own, and then we can play that once and laugh at that instead. Traveller of Barbary old, the Leo John Venerable, the by down set as. Reality, post-diluvian, osseous own his in, whale the of antiquity, the of attestation strange, another omitted be there must gnaw. Cradled was Solomon before centuries, planisphere that in swimming there was, yaw of as swam Leviathan old, them among gliding. Moderns, the of globe celestial, the on figures grotesque, the too similar, dolphins and griffins, centaurs in abounding. These aren't real things. Centaurs, griffins and dolphins. Planisphere painted and sculptured, a ceiling granite the upon discovered was there, ago years 50 some. Dendera of temple, great the of apartment in an inn. Fin his of print unmistakable, the find we. Character fossiliferous almost. And them for claim to seems antiquity whose tablets Egyptian upon but bust ancient his bequeathed marl and limestone in and nature of plate stereotype the in traces pre-adamite his left Leviathan this has alone not but. Over our ages humane all after exist needs must time all before been having which whale that of terrors unspeakable the of existence unsourced. Antimosaic this at horror struck am I. Shem with hands shake to round look I. Schoolboy as seems Methuselah. Pharaohs the than blood older shed had harpoon Ahab's. Leviathan like pedigree a show can who? Himalayas Sometimes it's like Eric Cartman's reading this. Himalayas, and I can't do a Cartman impression. That wasn't even an attempt, but he would say that, wouldn't he? Like that one, the line, Cartman's line that everybody knows about the respecting my authority. It's I often wonder if anyone's seen any other episodes of South Park. Cartman did say other things, as far as I'm aware, but that seems to be the one that's stuck in people's minds, despite it not actually being especially funny. Himalayas that and Andes that of lines present the along wake his lefty. It's like how people do Monty Python sketches. They choose the worst Monty Python sketches to quote. There's some pretty funny Monty Python sketches. Even now, even after all these years, and a lot of Monty Python it's dross now if you watch it again. But there's some gems in there, but the gems are not the ones people remember. Like the parrot, the dead parrot. Everyone says that. Oh, parrot's dead, lol. I think that was the gist of it. It's not especially good. The Hovercraft is full of eels sketches. It's way better than that one. There's some very good use. The ones that are linguistic humour, I think, are the better ones. Like the Hungarian. Is he Hungarian? I think man in the shop with a phrase book. I will not buy this record. It is scratched. That one. That's a good sketch. See, I'm doing it now. I'm quoting Monty Python. But for me, it's a diversion activity because I don't actually want to read any more of this. And it is, we've got 10 minutes to go. So I'm just talking about that instead. Hey, it's beat Star Trek. Creation of King and Wales there was world holder then. Visible was land of breadth hands inhabitable and not. Circumference worlds this of miles 25,000. The all in and. Tropics the now a what upon hard pressed ice of bastions wedged when eternity's polar those into glimpses shuddering dim obtain I and me overrolls chaos grey Saturn's here man with began time for begun have to said becan itself time air period wondrous that to backborn flood abai am I seniors incalculable there Leviathan's antichronicle annihilated the two affinities similar hand other the on-bearing time same the yet but sea monsters of breeds existing the two resemblances partial by characterized all vertebrae and ribs jaws tusks skulls skeletons leviathan mighty these among stand I when existence of outblotted have globe the of mutations the which creatures extraordinary most the of one substance in it pronounced Society Geological London the before read paper his in hand Zeuglodon monster the rechristened Owen so body invested fully his of shape the to clue little but furnishes whale the of skeleton the and book this in repeated again and again fact the of illustration significant species departed of though whale was reptile alleged this that outturned it anatomist English that Owen to see the across taken being it of bones specimen some but Basilosaurus of name that it upon bestowed and reptile huge at it declared doctors Alabama the angels fallen the of one of bones the for it took vicinity that enslaves credulous stricken the Alabama in the Alabamans thought it was the wings of a fallen angel, did they? Why am I not surprised? Alabama in Queequeg, judge of plantation the on 1842 year the in found monster extinct and of skeleton vast complete almost there was relic citation all of wonderful most the far by but oh, good God, what sort of word is that? Species leviathanic. Unknown utterly, some to belonged have to fragments these pronounced Cuvier. Cuvier. Time Napoleons in Antwerp of docks great the excavating in disinterred bones and Tuileries that of... I'm aware that that's French as well, but I'm going to stop. Tuileries that of Palace the upon directly most opening streets short Paris in Dauphiné Rue that in disinterred was 1779 year that in which skull out of part is remains such of curious more the among Alabama and Mississippi Louisiana of states that in and Scotland in England in France in Lombardy in Alps the of base that at found been intervals various at past years 30 within have skeletons and bones there of fragments whales pre-adamite of fossils broken detached fossils. How long is this chapter? Let's go. So I was on and on and on. Well, I've got 6 minutes left. until supposedly the end of this chapter. But I think I'm going to hammer this out because it's 3 chapters in an episode is about right, I think. And I have rambled on a little bit tonight, and I've not even talked about Star Trek at all, which is, I don't even like Star Trek. I don't know why I keep bringing it up. It amuses me. The other day, there was an episode I watched in which the Ferengi, remember them, the Ferengi, the guys, they've got big teeth and they walk around like they're going to shit themselves. The Ferengi, oh, and they have the ears as well, don't they? The sex ears. They've turned up to try and negotiate access to a wormhole that's been found by some woman with some extra like jewelry. And also there's a psychic who turns up and pulls Deanna Troi because he's a psychic. And Will Riker, good old Will Riker, is left in charge of the negotiations to decide who gets access to the wormhole. It's very important because it's the first stable wormhole they found, and it could provide a shortcut to the Gamma Quadrant. I assume they're in the Alpha Quadrant, as it is. You would think they'd name the one we're in first, so I'm going to assume it's the Alpha Quadrant, and the Gamma Quadrant is elsewhere. I guess Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta. Are there 4? Is that why it's quadrants? So the Gamma Quadrant, excuse me, I'm assuming that is like quite a long way away. I think they do say it in the episode. It's going to knock a 300-year journey down to like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. So quick you can do it in an episode, because they do. They send Geordi LaForge with his face and Data off into the wormhole, and then the Ferengi go as well. It's all a big trick. The wormhole doesn't work. The other end goes. First of all, it takes them to the Delta Quadrant instead. Totally different. And then the Geordi and the Data get back, and the Ferengi stay, and then the wormhole goes somewhere else. And oh no, they're stuck. Right, they're lost. And I mean, they're not just lost. It's not like they've taken a wrong turn and going down at Aldi, and now they're going to have to go around the bypass. They're proper lost. They're hundreds of light years away, thousands of light years away. I don't even know how big the galaxy is, but it's pretty big. And they're like a whole quadrant of it away. They're not getting back, not in a hurry. Not unless that wormhole is around, and it's not. It's gone. No one knows where it's gone. It's impossible. What struck me though is Will Riker loses the negotiation, but is entirely not bothered because the wormhole itself is bunk, right? It moves around all the time. It's not stable. It's not worth anything. The negotiations were pointless. The whole episode was pointless, except for the poor Ferengi who are now left stranded half the galaxy away in a tiny shuttlecraft. Let's face it, right? They've got them teeth going on. They're going to eat each other. Those 2 Ferengi, they're going to have to eat each other, and then they'll have to eat themselves, right? One of them's going to win, eat the other one, and when that runs out, he's going to have to eat himself or just die, right? He's going to die a painful, slow death, having cannibalized his best friend. Riker finds this hilarious. Riker breaks out into a huge beaming grin on realizing this fact. The guy's a psychopath. Okay, they're Ferengi, they're not real people, I get it. They have that weird, they walk around like pantomime villains. But still, come on, Riker. Where's your prime directive? Where's your, do no harm? I don't know what he does. I don't know, doctors, isn't it? That I don't know. I don't know what oath he took, but I'm pretty certain that in the Starfleet manual it says don't openly laugh at Ferengi eating each other and dying a painful death. If it doesn't say that, they should add it. They should write that in. I mean, the Ferengi, yeah, they're not very nice, but you're going to have to deal with them again and again. You can't just laugh at them dying into their faces. That's not on. Maintain a bit of decorum. I bet Picard wasn't happy. I mean, Picard, brushed it off at the time, but I bet he gave Riker a bit of a dressing down afterwards in the ready room. Oh yeah, I would have. I think we're going to have to leave this now anyway. It's 11 o'clock. Star Trek baffled me. I'm going to highlight the word fossils because that's where we were after reading about the whales pre-Adamite of fossils broken detached. And it's a shame we're not going to finish this chapter. Look, we're so close, but we're not going to finish this chapter because it's 11 o'clock and I'm tired and I can't be bothered. And I have some wine here. I'm going to do something else with my time. I suggest you do something else with your time, like clicking the buttons around the screen. We've been through this before. Click the buttons. Nobody seems to want to click the buttons. Click them. They light up when you click them. They change colour. I've seen it. Also, go to the address there for the National Video Games Museum. It's down there. Go and do their thing. Give them money because they're ace. And they're struggling because you people can't go and support them in person, can you? Nor can I. We're all stuck at home. You know, we can play video games. We can't go and see old ones. We can play old ones. Play them on that. Play old ones on that. Yeah, it's a spectrum. I know. But yeah, go to that. Go to that. In all seriousness, go to that. If you think this is worth anything, I know it has no artistic merit, but it may have commercial value, especially if I am asked to promote sunglasses on the stream, which could happen potentially. I'll leave you to figure out why. So if there is any commercial value to it, then please give the money to the National Video Game Museum instead. Either that or buy a copy of Thoth, which is excellent as a video game. Thoth. Thoth. Yeah, it's hilarious. Very, very good game. I like that very much. Right up my street, that was. I'm going to leave you for now. Go and do something else. That's it. That's the end. 4 sperms. I'll draw them on the board for next time. I'll draw them on the board as is. Even the one with the wiggly tail. The one with the wiggly tail. I'll do the song as well. That'll put us up to 16, which is good. What's that? Nearly 10%, is it? 20, 16, nowhere near 10%. About 6%. Progress bar's filling up. That bucket's filling up, the sperm bucket. We're getting there. So until next time, have a good night. See ya.